Hi there, I'm Tara Kestner. Thank you for joining me. Today's class is a solid mix of everything you need in a yoga class. We've got stretch, we've got strength, we've got movement, breath, restoration. It's all in there. It's kind of like a yoga multivitamin. It's a great class to do if you've kind of been away from yoga for a while and you're just getting back into it, or you're overwhelmed by the sheer number of classes available online. This class will give you everything you need every time. If you like it, I love it if you give it a thumbs up, make a comment. Or if you're feeling really gracious today, subscribe to the channel. It's always free and it's always super appreciated. So let's get started. Find a comfortable way to sit and close down your eyes. And rock into those sits bones and draw the belly button in just a little. Retract the shoulder blades, just a pinch, and then draw the jawline back towards the throat, as if you're talking to somebody who has really bad breath and you're just trying not to be rude. We've got this perfect alignment in the spine. Leave that form, but soften everything around it. And then find your breath. As you inhale, feel expansion in the chest, the ribs, and the belly, and pause. And then soften the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Let's do that again. Inhale into the chest, the ribs, the belly, and pause. Soften the belly, the ribs, and the chest, and pause. And you can do that again if it felt good. Or we can just go back to a nice, normal, steady breath. And we'll take one more breath here. As we finish that breath, go ahead and gently blink open the eyes. We'll reach the hands back and with a big inhale, sweep it up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bring the arms down and back, opening up the chest. Two more of those. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, bring it down and back. One more time, inhale up, exhale down and back. Let's take it up one more time, lightly pressing palms together. And on the exhale, lean to one side. It matters not which side you start with, just find a nice stretch up the side of the body. And then bring it back to center. Find a breath, inhale. And on the exhale, lean it to the other side. Settle in just briefly. And then we'll bring it back to center, separating the hands slightly. Look to your left and begin to rotate your shoulders in that direction. And then we'll let the hands float down. One to the knee, one behind you, a little seated twist. As you settle in here, take a nice breath into the belly. And as you exhale, notice if there's any more space to take that twist. And then we'll release, reach it back up overhead. Look to the other side and then rotate the shoulders and lightly let the hands float down. Find their perches, settle in, take a breath into the belly. Might feel a little popping along the spine and big slow exhale. Now let's take that from side to side. As you inhale, reach up. Rotate on that little pause between the inhale and the exhale, and exhale as you float the hands down. Inhale it up. Rotate, exhale it down. Couple more, inhale it up. Rotate, exhale. One more. Inhale it up. Rotate, blow it out as you float the hands on down. Let's inhale it up and bring ourselves back to center. Reach up, look up through those fingertips, give them a little wiggle, and then bring the hands down to rest on the knees. Let's lift the knees up a bit and tuck the tail under, lower the chin towards the chest. Feel that nice big stretch that comes across the upper back, seated cat stretch, and with an inhale, we'll lift the center of the chest, seated cow pose. Let's ride that exhale back into that cat stretch, and then inhale to sit it up tall. One more like that. Blow it out. Cat cat stretch. Inhale to cow. And we'll release. Lean to your left and pause. And then lean forward. And then to your right. And then around the back, we'll take it back over to the left. Let's start to add that cat-cow action. So as you come forward, we'll lift the chest, and as we go around the back, we'll lower the chin and just find what feels good for your low back. Moving it around, maybe a big circle, maybe little, maybe letting a little momentum help you out. Or if your back's feeling a little tender, moving nice and slow. When you find a spot to reverse course, go ahead and do that. We'll take it to the other side. And adding as much or as little of that cat-cow movement as feels good. One more pass around. And then we'll pause the momentum and bring it back to center. Let's bring it over to hands and knees. Coming into a proper cat-cow. So hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, spreading the fingers as wide as they'll go, pressing into the tops of the feet, lifting the gaze, lifting the heart center. Breath in here. As you exhale, round into that cat stretch, and then inhale back to cow. Exhale to cat, blow it out, push the ground away. And then inhale one more time into cow. Exhale one more time into cat. Hold on to it here. Draw the belly button in just a little closer to the spine. And then come to a neutral spine, flat back. Let's stretch the left leg out long. Maybe roll the ankle. And pushing into the hands and the top of the foot and the knee. And then we'll bring that knee down. Let's go over to the other side. Stretch that right leg out long. Roll out the ankle. And then bring that on down. Let's go back to the left side. Stretch that left leg out long. And slide the right hand forward. If it feels okay today, lift the hand away, coming into your spinal balance, trying to keep everything nice and level. Pushing the floor away with the left hand, pushing into the top of the foot and the knee. Reaching out, drawing the belly button up and in so the rectus abdominis is cradling the underside of the spine. Let's take that over to the other side, right leg. And if you're doing it today, left hand, you can always leave the hands down and just stretch out that leg again, or maybe just do the arms. Reaching out, and your balance, your strength, it's all in there. Just got to find it. One last breath here, and then we'll start to alternate from side to side. So let's bring the hand and the knee down, moving over left leg, right arm. Inhale as you reach it out. Exhale as it comes back down, nice and light. Inhale, reaching out the other side. Exhaling it down. Two more on each side. Inhale to reach. Exhale to return. Other side, inhale, reach it out. Exhale, bring it down. Last one. Inhale, reach it out. Exhale it down. One more. Here we go. Inhale. Nice job. Bring it back down. Move into child's pose. Take the knees a little wider. Big toes are close to one another. This first one always feels like you're wearing pants that are a couple sizes too small. Lowering down onto the forearms, letting your head drop. Maybe stacking up some fists, or maybe forehead makes it to the mat today. Try not to judge it too much. Just listen to what your body's telling you to do. And let go of that judgment that you should just be able to melt down into a little puddle here in child's pose. Take a breath into the back ribs. Feel that expansion. And as we exhale, we'll soften the belly. Try to settle in. From this child's pose, let's make our way to a kneeling plank. Start by coming to all fours, bringing those knees back underneath us. Walk the hands forward. And then bring the shoulders forward, up over the wrists. You're going to wake up the backs of the arms, the triceps. So begin bending the elbows. And then straightening out the arms, not coming down too far, just coming down enough that you feel the engagement. Lowering down, feel that little shake in the back of the arms, and then straighten it back out. Let's add the breath. Inhale here. Exhale, lower. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to lower. Couple more. Inhale to straighten. This is that strength part we were talking about. Exhale to lower. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to lower. One more. Inhale as you straighten. Exhale as we lower. Inhale it back up. And then we'll sink back to that child's pose, gluing the hands right where they are. So the hips aren't going to get nearly as close this time. But we'll feel a nice big stretch come up in the lats, maybe the mid-back. Now let's put those movements together. Bring yourself up to that kneeling plank. Pause. Bending the elbows, lowering into that yogi push-up. Pause. Straighten out the arms again. Pause. And sink it back to child's pose. Let's add the breath on this round. Inhale to plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale to straighten the arms. Exhale as we sink it back. Couple more. Inhale to plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale as we straighten. Exhale back to child's pose. Two more. You can go faster than me or slower as you lower. Inhale to straighten. Exhale it back. One more time. Inhale to plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale to straighten. Exhale. Sink it back to child's pose. You can bring the hands back where they're a little more comfortable. Take a breath into those back ribs. Blow it out here. And let's make our way to downward facing dog. Come into all fours first, tucking the toes under. Dropping our heads as we lift the knees and then the hips. Gently pedaling out the heels. First time we've checked in with those feet and the calves. So be nice to them as you start. Shake out your head if that feels good. And then start to mosey on up towards the top of the mat. Walking the feet towards the wrists. Bringing the knees up and under the ribs. Letting the rib cage rest on the tops of the thighs as we find a ragdoll. Dropping our heads. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows if that feels nice. Or swaying from side to side, getting into those QL muscles, the sides of the low back. And from this ragdoll, halfway lift. Begin to slide the hands up the fronts of the shins. Let's find the hamstrings. Start straightening out the legs. Maybe the hands come up onto the thighs for this first one. Gently pushing the legs back, flattening out the back. Pausing here to feel what's going on in the backs of the legs. Sometimes is good, sometimes not so much. Let's bend the knees and slide back into that forward fold, dropping your heads, letting yourself fold in half. Push into the feet, take the arms wide and begin to rise up to mountain. Reaching up there, finding some length, rooting down in the feet as you reach up. And then we'll bring the hands down to prayer in front of the chest or soft fists. Sit it back into a chair pose, feeling those hip joints probably for the first time. And then with the inhale, let's take it back up to mountain. And on the exhale, sit it back into that chair. A couple more like that. Inhale it up. Exhale it down. Inhale it up to mountain. Exhale it down to chair. Inhale to mountain. Blow it out. Sink into that chair, maybe a little lower as you warm up. A couple more. Inhale it up. Exhale it down. Last one. Inhale, rise up to mountain. Exhale, sit into that chair. And we're going to pause briefly right here. Let's sit it down. And then look towards the ground. Tip forward. Fingertips will find their way to the ground. Forward fold. From here, a halfway lift, sliding the hands up the shins. And then blow it out, back into that forward fold. Steady yourself with your fingertips. Step your left foot as far back as it'll go, and we'll gently lower the knee to the mat, shifting around, forward, back. Letting the hip bones find their way into the joints. Back toe can be tucked or untucked. Right hand is going to come to the outside of that front knee. As we hug it in, we'll look over our right shoulder. IT band stretch. The IT band runs from the outside of the knee to the outside of the hip. And as we hug it to ourselves, we'll find a little length there. And then we'll bring it back forward. Hands to the mat, tuck the back toe, lift the back knee, downward facing dog. Pedal out those heels. Shake out the head. Left foot, step it forward. Help it with the left hand if you need to. Lower that back knee. Settle the leg bones into the hip joint, and then join me in that IT band stretch. Left hand to the outside of the knee, looking over the left shoulder, hugging that knee to the midline. Take a breath here. From here, we'll bring the hands to the mat, tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. We're going to step it forward this time. Forward fold. On the inhale, rise up to mountain. And on the exhale, sit it into chair. Glance down at the ground, take a breath in. And as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale to a forward fold. Right foot is going to step back. We're going to keep the knee lifted this time. Once again, shifting around until you feel settled, and then plant that right hand. Left hand's going to come up onto the knee. We'll look left. And maybe for today, we'll reach for the ceiling. Maybe today we'll leave the hand on the knee. Whatever your body is telling you to do. Revolved lunge. Bring that hand down to the mat and step it back to downward facing dog. Taking a second to shift the hips. And then the right foot is going to step forward. Might help it with the right hand. We're going to take those little movements to settle in, and then left hand to the mat, right hand to the right knee. Look to the right. Maybe reach for the sky. Revolved lunge, pushing the ground away with the left hand. Bring that hand back down, stepping back foot to the top. And on the inhale, we rise to mountain. On the exhale, we sit into chair. Inhale here. As you exhale, tip it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stepping the left foot back into lunge. Always have the option to drop that back knee. On the inhale, revolve the lunge, right hand high. And exhale, bring it down. We'll step it back to downward facing dog. We're adding on here. So with a nice slow inhale, bring yourself to that kneeling plank, lowering knees to the mat. We've been here before. Let's bring the shoulders over the wrists, and then slow descent all the way to the mat. Bending the elbows, bringing yourself down. Sliding the hands just a few inches closer to the waist. Press into the tops of the feet, hover the kneecaps, and with an inhale, peel the chest into a cobra pose. Gaze is down or level to protect the neck. We'll stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and lower it on down. Let's push ourselves back up to all fours. Walking the knees underneath, tucking the toes under, dropping our heads. Hips lift up, downward facing dog. Left foot is going to step forward into that lunge. And with a big inhale, revolve the lunge. Any version that feels good to you today. And then blow it out as you bring it on down. Stepping back, foot forward to forward fold. Find your breath again as you inhale, rise up to mountain. As you exhale, sit into that chair. Take a breath in here. On the exhale, tip it forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Right foot steps back into your version of lunge. On the inhale, left hand up, revolve lunge. Exhale it down. Step it back to downward facing dog. This time as you inhale, come to plank. Option to stay on the toes this time or lower to the knees. On the exhale, you can lower all the way down or just lower down about 1/3 of the way and pause. On the inhale, cobra or upward facing dog this time, if that feels good. Straightening out the arms, kneecaps are hovering above the ground, drawing the shoulder blades together. Gaze is straight ahead. We stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make your way back to down dog, either through all fours or just piking the hips back up. The right foot is going to step forward to that lunge. And with a big old inhale, find your breath again. Revolve that lunge. Exhale it down. Step up to the top to a forward fold. Last time through with the breath all the way. Inhale to mountain. Exhale to chair. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Step the left foot back to lunge. On the inhale, revolve the lunge. Exhale it down. Stepping back to downward facing dog. Inhale to your version of plank, toes or knees. Exhale, lower part way or all the way. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Blow it out as we make our way back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, lunge. Inhale, revolve lunge. Exhale it down. Step to the top, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach up, press the palms, sit it into that chair. Now let's sit into this chair a little bit deeper now that we're warm. And a little pro tip, if you bring the knees closer together, it'll help you be a little more stable. It'll engage those adductors. To settle in here, we'll take a little twist. Your left hand is going to come to the outside of your right knee and rest the elbow down. Let's sweep the right hand out to the side and let it rest on your low back as you rotate your shoulders. Take a peek at that left knee and see if it wants to creep forward. If it is, try to bring it back in line with the other kneecap. If you need a little more today, you can take the hands to prayer with elbow between the knees or to the outside of that right knee. Prayer twist. Let's stay for a full breath. As we finish that breath, let's make our way back up to standing. Reaching up, maybe reaching back if the low back will tolerate that, lifting the center of the chest. And then we'll sit it back into chair, because you know if we do one side, we got to do the other. So this time the right hand to the outside of that left knee. Let's get the alignment in the spine before we go deeper. Resting the elbow down, sweeping left hand out, let it rest on your hip or your low back as you turn your chest to the left. Staying here, peeking at that right kneecap, bringing it back if it crept forward. And then going deeper if you choose to today. Let's stay for a full breath. As we finish the breath, we'll rise back up, reach back up, and bring the hands down the center line. Down to rest beside you. Step the feet hip distance apart. We're going to work with not a little concept, it's a big concept called padabanda. Pada meaning foot, banda meaning lock. That doesn't matter. What you need to know is that it's a way to isometrically engage this whole axial skeleton so that the appendicular skeleton, the arms and the legs, aren't doing all of the work. So begin by rocking into the feet, forward, back, side to side. And then imagine under your foot is a triangle. There's the point here under the big toe mound, a point under the little toe mound, and a point under the heel. Lift the toes away from the mat and find that triangle under each foot. Then settle your toes back down. Now begin to lift the arches of the feet, engaging the muscles of the low legs. Let the kneecaps lift a little. Draw the belly button closer to the spine. Retract the shoulder blades gently and draw the jawline closer to the throat. Feel that engagement, the entire center of the body working, and just kind of swing the arms and feel how light they feel. If you want to test this theory, you can release that padabanda, letting the arches fall back down, letting go, and then lift your arms. And just notice the difference in how they feel. We'll work with that concept as we go through this power sequence. So we'll step the left foot back. Warrior one's our destination. Maybe work the right foot over a little bit, and then bend and straighten that front knee. And once again, think about those triangles under the feet and a gentle lift of the arch, settling in, knee over ankle. Once you're here, engage that padabanda and then sweep the arms up. Hopefully they feel a little lighter as you lift the center of the chest. Take a full breath in. And with that exhale, turn the palms forward, bring the elbows down and back, blow it out. Take a big breath in here. Big stretch across the chest. And with the exhale, let the hands come down. Hook the fingertips, the index fingers that is, behind your low back. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And if it's okay with your balance, look up over your head. If that bothers your balance, look straight ahead and maybe lean forward a touch. Take a breath. As you finish that breath, release, look to your left, turn to your left, and take your feet wide. Looking down at your right foot, pick up those toes, point them back towards the short edge of the mat, and begin to bend and straighten that front knee, rolling along the outer edge of that front foot. Trying to lift up that back arch. That's the tricky part. A little bit. Doesn't have to be anything big, just a subtle lift in that arch. When you settle into your legs here, knee over ankle, float the arms up, warrior two. Take a full breath. Let's move this to a reverse warrior. Drop the back hand, flip the front palm, reach for the sky. Maybe sink into that front leg a fraction more. From a reverse warrior side angle, we'll melt the front arm down to rest on the front leg. We'll sweep that left arm straight up, straight out of the shoulder, reaching for the sky. Working on your strength here in the sides of the body. If you prefer to work on flexibility, reach over your head and find that length between the left rib and the left hip. Take a breath. Don't hold your breath. And then begin to make our way back to warrior two, just pausing to notice what's going on in the front leg. It wants to straighten, doesn't it? Mine does. So let's do that. Straighten it out. Hands to the hips, pick up the toes, and wheel them towards the long edge of the mat. Soft bend in the knees as we begin to melt forward, fingertips finding their way to the ground, rocking into the feet. Now think downward facing dog in the arms. Walk the hands out away from the mat, dropping the head. See what happens if you lift the arches. Notice the difference. Notice the sensation, the engagement in the inner legs. Breathe. And we'll start to make our way out of this, walking the hands back towards the mat, looking towards the top of the mat again. We'll begin to pivot around, lowering that back knee. Runner's lunge is our destination. We'll work the front foot over, so the little toe is hanging off the edge. And while, as with every lunge, shift around until you feel no pinching. Hips feel mostly where they should be. And then adjust the shoulders. We can come up a little higher. That'll give you a little more hip flexor. Or you can create more compression in that right hip by walking the hands forward, bending the elbows, maybe coming all the way to the mat. Settling in here, and then just close down the eyes. I have a yoga teacher that calls this taking out the trash. Because we store a lot of trash in our hips, a lot of stress, a lot of tension. And we spend this time trying to get rid of some of that trash. So we'll stay here for one more slow breath. And we'll begin to make our way out. Bring hands to the mat, working that front foot in just a little, tucking the back toe under, lifting up the back knee, shortening the stance. We're going to bring ourselves to a standing lunge. So you can crawl up the legs or you can just sweep the arms wide as we reach up, pushing into that back heel, pushing off of that front foot at the same time. And from here, we'll lower the arms and lean forward. Left hand to the outside of that front knee, right hand to the low back as we take a twist. Look to the right or bring that into a prayer twist if that feels good today. We stay for the breath. We leave when it's done. When you finish that breath, bring yourself back up to that standing lunge. Lean forward. We're moving to airplane. Put all the weight in the front leg. Drag that back foot up. See what's going on here today. Maybe lift up that back foot. Maybe let the toe rest. If you're feeling courageous, go ahead and lift that leg up to hip height. Take the arms anywhere that helps you balance. Fly right into it. Finish your breath. And then bring it back to standing. Let's shake it out. We're going to do all that on the other side. Right foot's going to step back. And we're going to bend and straighten that front knee again. So left foot is forward, right foot is back. And we'll settle in here. Once we've found the positioning of the legs that we like, sweep the arms up overhead. Find that big old warrior two. Lift the center of the chest, breathe into it. And on the exhale, turn the palms forward, goalpost arms. Closing down the space between the shoulder blades. Breath in. On the exhale, let it go. Hook the fingers, bind the hands, roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Your variation, whatever you like here, looking up overhead or looking straight ahead and leaning into it. Opening up across the chest. We'll release that with the exhale. Look to the right, turn to the right. Take the feet wide. Turn those left toes back forward and start to work into those warrior two legs. Take your time here. Really set this up. These setups are part of the pose, finding your way in. Lift that big toe on the front foot and then put it back down. Let the arms float up, warrior two. From this warrior two, we'll take our reverse warrior, flip that front palm, reach for the sky, look up there, find that length in the side body. From reverse warrior, its partner in action, side angle, forearm rests, sweep that right hand up, reach up and lift up out of the side body. For strength or for flexibility, reach over your head. Finish your breath and begin to make your way back to warrior two. Settle in and just take note of how that front leg feels. And then we'll straighten it out. We'll pivot the foot so we're facing the long edge of the mat, soft bend in the knees as we fold forward. Now if you liked those downward facing dog arms, repeat that here. If you want something a little different, turn the fingertips so they're pointing behind you. Forearms are pointing straight ahead, a wrist stretch. Now the further forward you walk the hands, the more intense that's going to be in the carpal tunnel region. So if it's too intense, walk the hands more underneath you. Lift those arches a little. And settle in here as you drop your head and take a breath. Finish the breath that you're on. And begin to make your way to that runner's lunge, walking the hands towards the top of the mat, pivoting around, lowering that back knee down, working the left foot all the way over. Arrange the hips in a way that you like them, and then decide where the height of the shoulders is best for you today. Maybe it's up here, maybe it's down low. Wherever it is, settle in and close your eyes. And just take your attention to your hips and take the breaths. As if you could bring the breath down into the hip joints. And with each exhale, dissipate some of that tension that you feel. And finish the breath that you're on. When you're clear of that breath, we'll bring the front foot in, tuck the back toe under, lift up the back knee, and slowly up to high lunge, whether that means sweeping the arms or whether that means crawling up that front leg, pushing into that back heel, at the same time pushing off of that front foot, thinking about that triangle underneath the sole of the front foot. From here, that twist. Lower the hands and lean forward. Right hand comes to the outside of that knee, left hand to the small of the low back as we rotate in. This nice long spine, if you want to move in, maintaining that long spine, you can come to that prayer twist, but if you feel like the spine gets a little wonky, back up a step. Listen to what your body's telling you to do and let go of the expectation that any pose should look a certain way. Let's bring ourselves back to center, and we're going to move into that airplane. So leaning forward, begin to drag that back foot up, all the strength in the front leg as we lift the back foot. Move the arms where they need to be to help you, and fly. Find a spot to look at that won't move. Steady your gaze there. You've got this. Take one more breath. And then release. Nice job. Bring the feet back under, shake out the legs. What a perfect time to do some standing balance. For those of you who are familiar with my class, you know that I don't believe that we get better at balance by standing on one foot and being still. I think movement is the key to that brain-body connection. So let's step into the right foot, slide the left foot forward, and come to one-legged mountain. Hands can be here in front of the chest. They can be out to the side, anywhere that helps you. And foot might be down here today. And then we'll lean forward, reach the foot behind us, maybe resting the toe, or maybe starting to lift towards a warrior three. And then bring it back to that one-legged mountain. Moving between those two positions at your own pace, within your own range of motion, as many times as you want to. Maybe that swing of the hip gets a little bigger. It's up to you. Now the next time that the leg is back, try to slow the momentum and pause. Starting to work our way towards a warrior three. Now the foot can be resting on the ground, or maybe we're getting a little braver and lifting it up a little higher. Let's all bring the hands to prayer in front of the chest. And this is where we're going to pause. You're welcome to extend the arms out to the sides, or if you're feeling really good today, reach over your head like you're Superman flying over the city. Totally up to you, wherever you can stay for the next 10 seconds. Release your breath if you're holding it, and then slowly bring yourself back upright. Let's do that on the other side. One-legged mountain, your version. Find a place for your hands, and then swinging the leg back. And maybe each time the range of motion gets a little bigger, don't expect the same experience on both sides. Maybe at some point you'll get so good you'll have that Barbie doll leg and it can just spin all the way around. And that is something you need to film and put on YouTube so I can see it and be mildly horrified. But let's work between one-legged mountain and warrior three legs. And the next time the leg is back, slow your momentum, settle yourself in, bring the hands to prayer in front of the chest. Find a spot to lift, to rest your gaze. Pause here. And then you can adjust the arm position if it feels good today. Maybe just for today, you keep it out to the side, or maybe you reach overhead, maybe you fall out and you get right back in it. Wherever you want to land, you stay for 10 seconds. Take a breath. When you let the breath go, stand up tall. Nice job. Shake out those legs. Take them as wide as or wider than the mat. And begin to melt forward and down, fingertips to the ground. shifting side to side, soothing those hips out, coaxing that low back to let go. And walk your hands up onto your knees, and maybe today we continue to sway from side to side. Or another option would be to become still and rest the elbows down on the knees, dropping the hips a little lower. How's that feel? If you want just a little more, turn the toes out and drop the hips lower, bringing the elbows to the insides of the knees. Choose whichever one of these positions speaks to you. Find your breath again that got away from you. And let's finish the breath that you're on and bring the fingertips to the mat, dropping our heads, lifting our hips up and out of that. Couple of sways, and then making our way to downward facing dog. Taking a second in this down dog to notice how different this one feels than the first one we did today. Noticing if the legs are maybe tired, but possibly a little more cooperative. Maybe we can draw the belly button in and find that wonderful stretch across the low back. Or maybe we tuck the chin and let the head be heavy. Maybe we do all of that. We'll stay here for one more breath. And start to make your way down. We'll all meet in a seated position. The legs out in front. Shaking them out a bit. We'll bend that right knee. Foot on the mat. Flexing the left foot. Lean back. Lift the center of the chest. Lift the chin. Left hand's going to come up, find its way to the outside of that front knee. We'll rotate the chest. We're still looking forward. We're just rotating the chest towards the knee and then slowly turning the head. Looking out to the side, looking off that back shoulder. And take a breath into the belly. Feel the belly expand and press against the leg. Now when you release that breath, notice if you can move into that space you've created. And then we'll let that go. Stretch out the right leg. Flex that foot as we bring the left knee in. Sit back. Lift the chest. Nice tall spine. Right hand comes up to the outside of the knee. Looking still straight ahead as we rotate the chest and shoulders towards the bent knee. And then we'll turn the gaze. There's a lot of movement in the cervical spine, which is why we want to do that last. Take a breath into the belly. And on the exhale, see if you can settle in a little further. And then we'll release and let that go. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. A little concept called PNF stretching. It's I can't remember, but it has to do with neuromuscular facilitation. I am blanking on the first word, but it's like this long. So we're going to bring the knees up and push them into the elbows. We're going to push the elbows into the knees, almost like one of those thigh masters. So you're going to squeeze that in there. About 30% of what you're capable of. What we're trying to do is disengage that stretch reflex. And it sounds like exactly the opposite of what you want to do, but it is. Now we'll release that and begin to lean forward into this bound angle. Settle here. And breathe. And then we'll sit up again. Lift up the hands and just using the abductors, the outer hip muscles, see if you can bring the knees closer to the ground. They're not going to move very far, but just want to feel that brain-body connection between the outer hip and the brain, telling it to pull the knees down. And then release. Now let's go back to hands resting on the legs, squeezing the knees into the elbows and pushing the knees away with the elbows. We're going to do this for a little while, and then we're going to take a breath and we're going to lean forward, engaging those abductors again at the same time. And you're going to see how far you can take this thing. So take a breath in now, continuing to squeeze. When you exhale, let that go. Engage the outer hip as you lean into your bound angle. See how far it'll go. And once you're settled in there, then just make adjustments with your arms and we'll be still. We did a lot of work today that engaged those adductors, the inner thighs. So let's just give them their time to stretch out and relax. And then we'll let that go. Let's come on to our backs. A little low back stretch and then final relaxation. Hugging the knees in, rocking from side to side. We'll hold on to the left knee and kick the right foot up into the air. Roll out that ankle, see if there's any air trapped in it. And then lower the straight leg down. Now notice if you're hugging this left leg in so tight that your low back is kind of crooked or not level. And if that's the case, consider interlacing the fingers behind that left thigh. We'd like that low back to be nice and level on the ground. And close your eyes, and with each exhale, try to abandon that straight leg. Just let it go. Let it be supported by the floor. Start to notice all the points of contact under your heel, your calf, your hips, your back, your head. And just take note of that support. And the left arm, let it drop down and slide it away with the palm facing up. Maybe shoulder height, maybe lower. And then we'll begin to guide the left knee across the body, rolling to the right. Scooching up on that right hip, taking this as far as feels good to you. And it's okay to lift or lower that bent knee. And it's also okay to bend the right knee if you feel a little unstable in your back. Rock your head, find the perfect spot for your neck, close your eyes, and begin to focus on your exhale. And notice with each exhale, you just soften and melt into this a little bit deeper. Maybe you can let go of something that you're holding on to. And we'll slowly roll that back onto your back. Feet on the mat. We'll windshield wiper the knees, dropping them both to one side and then the other. Moving quickly or slowly, whatever feels good on the back. And we'll do that on the other side. Right knee comes in. Left foot kicks up in the air so you can see your foot. Roll the ankle, wiggle the toes, see if there's any air trapped in that ankle, and then lower the straight leg down. Check in with your low back. Do you need to make the adjustment, interlacing the fingers behind the right thigh? If so, go ahead. And then start to abandon that left leg. Just let it be heavy. And let go. And the right arm will drop down by your side. Flip the palm up and then slide the arm out and away. And begin to guide the knee across the body with the left hand, rolling maybe a little. Maybe we lift up and scooch onto the left hip. Consider bending the left knee for more stability. Play around with the height of the bent knee. Find a comfortable place for your neck and then focus on the exhale. With each exhale, we just soften and melt into the floor. And finish the breath that you're on. And begin to make your way back onto your back, bringing the knees in, hands behind the thighs. We'll lift the head, neck, and shoulders, tucking chin towards chest, hugging knees towards nose. Take one breath in. Moving on the exhale, release that and stretch the legs out long, reach the arms up overhead. Let a slight arch come into the low back. As you take a breath in, and with the exhale, hands to rest on the belly or out to the side, wherever it's comfortable. Lift the chest and adjust the shoulder blades, and then rock the hips. Would it be better to bend the knees and bring the feet onto the mat? Maybe separate the feet if they're not already wider than the hips, maybe even wider than the mat. Whatever is comfortable for you. And just settle in here. Close your eyes and just notice all the places that the floor is holding you. And then just be still. You earned it. And begin to deepen your breath, bringing in some air and exhaling with a quiet little sigh, creating some vibration in the back of your throat. A couple of breaths like that. And begin to wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, gently rock your head. Bending the knees if they're not already. And letting a little sway come into the knees from side to side, gently massaging out across the SI joints and the hips. And the next time that the knees go to the right, allow that momentum to carry you onto your right side. And get comfortable there. We'll stay here for 3 slow and easy breaths. As you finish that third breath, gently make your way up to a comfortable seated position. And when you get there, interlace the fingers. Stretch the arms out long, nice and lazily lower the chin, rounding the spine. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, release with a little flourish with the hands. We'll find the floor behind us. Lifting the center of the chest, lifting the chin, looking up and taking a breath in. And then we'll release. We'll sit it up tall and take one more breath as we sweep the arms up and overhead, reaching up, pressing the palms lightly together, and on the exhale, bring the hands down the center line. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.